After entering this mysterious prison, this woman loses her arm and leg, which are turned into food by cannibal prisoners. The film begins by introducing a woman named Arlen, who has a serial code marked beneath her ear, indicating that she has officially become prisoner number 5040 in a mysterious place known as the Bad Batch. Unlike ordinary prisons, this place has no real system of supervision or clear rules. Instead, it enforces one of the harshest punishments imaginable, where inmates are left to survive on their own in an isolated desert that is completely cut off from the outside world. There are no laws here, only the law of the wild, where only the strong are able to survive. Each prisoner is given minimal supplies, just a piece of bread and a large bottle of water, before being released into the desert and left to face their fate alone. With no clear direction or destination, Arlen wanders across the vast desert until she eventually comes across an old abandoned car. For a brief moment, it gives her hope, but that hope quickly disappears when she realizes the vehicle is badly damaged and cannot be used. She decides to use it simply to fix her disheveled appearance. The situation suddenly becomes tense as a vehicle rapidly approaches. While trying to escape, Arlen is suddenly ambushed by a woman and knocked unconscious in an instant. When she regains consciousness, Arlen finds herself restrained and completely helpless. The woman who attacked her earlier reappears, this time with far more disturbing intentions. She injects Arlen with a sedative, then proceeds to carry out a brutal act that leaves Arlen losing part of her body, causing her to pass out again from the overwhelming pain. Afterward, the severed parts are taken away to be used as food, revealing that Arlen has been captured by a group of prisoners who survive through extreme means, feeding on other humans. In a weakened and desperate state, Arlen realizes that if she does nothing, her fate will end tragically. With the last bit of strength she has, she takes a desperate and disturbing step, covering herself in excrement to make her captors lose their appetite. Surprisingly, the plan works, and they eventually release her restraints so she can clean herself. Arlen wastes no time. As soon as she is freed, she quickly grabs a nearby tool and fights back, then escapes as fast as possible while avoiding the other prisoners still roaming around. During her escape, she finds a skateboard and uses it to help her move more efficiently despite her condition. However, the journey is far from easy, as she soon begins to lose energy due to severe dehydration under the scorching desert sun. Just as her condition becomes critical, an old scavenger pushing a cart appears and, without saying much, helps her. He carries Arlen across the desert until they finally arrive at a place called Comfort. Unlike the harsh wilderness outside, Comfort appears to be a more organized settlement where prisoners can still live somewhat normal lives. Arlen is welcomed by guards at the entrance, while the old man who saved her quietly leaves without saying a single word. As time passes, 5 months later, Arlen is shown to be in much better condition. She has adapted to life in Comfort, earning a living through various jobs and using a prosthetic leg that allows her to walk normally again.
If you remember everything else.
Life in Comfort feels completely different compared to the cannibal groups outside the desert, as the people living there can still function like ordinary humans, almost as if they are not prisoners at all. Meanwhile, the story shifts to a man with a large build and a fierce, intimidating appearance. This man is Bobby, the leader of the cannibal group that previously captured Arlen, a group known as the Bridge People. Despite his rough, street-like demeanor, Bobby actually has a softer side, especially when it comes to his young daughter, Honey, whom he deeply cares for. Beyond his physical strength, Bobby also possesses a contrasting trait. He has a talent for painting, and he can even draw his daughter's face with remarkable detail. However, once he finishes his artwork, he returns to the harsh reality of his life, where he faces another victim who will be used as food for his group. The next day, Arlen, who has now become more independent in Comfort, decides to buy a pistol. She uses it to practice hunting, hoping to get better food. She then leaves the Comfort area and travels quite far until she arrives at a place filled with scrap and abandoned items. Unexpectedly, she spots a vehicle that was once used by the people who kidnapped her, bringing back memories of her past trauma. Not long after, Arlen comes across Honey, who is with her nanny, the same woman who had kidnapped her before. Realizing this, Arlen immediately takes action and shoots her as an act of revenge. After the situation settles, Arlen cannot bring herself to leave Honey alone in such a dangerous place, so she decides to take the young girl with her back to Comfort. When they arrive, the interaction between Arlen and Honey does not go smoothly. As a child who has only lived in a limited environment with her father and her nanny, Honey appears awkward and frightened when faced with someone new. Arlen tries to approach her slowly, even attempting to build a connection by buying her a rabbit so she can feel more comfortable. However, despite her efforts, Honey often remains silent and reluctant to respond, as if she does not fully trust Arlen yet.
Then you gotta do exactly what I say. Do you want to keep him? I could have just left you out there in the desert.
Meanwhile, in another place, Bobby begins to realize that his daughter is not returned. Without wasting any time, he heads straight to the junkyard but finds no sign of Honey or her nanny. In the middle of his search, he encounters an old scavenger who happens to be there. Bobby then shows him a drawing of Honey and asks if he has seen her. Instead of answering right away, the old man asks Bobby to draw him first. Sensing that the man might know something, Bobby agrees. It does not take long for him to finish the drawing, and only then does the old man reveal that he saw Honey leaving with Arlen heading toward Comfort. Back in Comfort, Arlen continues trying to build a connection with Honey. She even takes the little girl out at night to visit a night market, where the prisoners gather and enjoy the simple entertainment available. In the middle of the lively atmosphere, the leader of Comfort appears, a man known as the Dream. Unlike Bobby, who is harsh and brutal, the Dream is known for his relaxed leadership style and for giving his followers a sense of freedom. He has even created his own currency, which is used by the people in Comfort for transactions, making life there feel more organized. Because of this, many people respect him, seeing him as someone who can provide a better life in the midst of chaos. Caught up in the festive atmosphere, Arlen tries to enjoy the moment and briefly forget everything she has been through over the past few months. She approaches someone who offers illegal substances that can be freely used during the event. Without realizing it, while Arlen is lost in the euphoria, Honey wanders off while searching for her pet rabbit that has run away. By chance, Honey ends up crossing paths with the Dream and his pregnant wife. Seeing Honey alone, the Dream takes her to his residence without Arlen knowing.
It's your rabbit.
When Arlen finally realizes that Honey is no longer by her side, she panics and begins searching for her everywhere. However, due to the effects of the substances she had taken earlier, her awareness becomes distorted, and without realizing it, she wanders farther and farther until she leaves the Comfort area. Under the influence, Arlen completely loses control of herself. She begins to hallucinate, as if she is witnessing beautiful scenes that are not real, while mumbling incoherently and remaining unaware of her surroundings. The next morning, as her consciousness slowly returns, Arlen finds herself lying in an open area. Still confused, she soon realizes that her prosthetic leg is gone, and standing before her is Bobby, who has apparently been watching her since the previous night. Without wasting any time, Bobby immediately demands answers about Honey's whereabouts while showing a sketch of his daughter's face. Under pressure, Arlen chooses to lie and claims that she has never met the little girl. However, Bobby is not easily convinced. With a firm and threatening tone, he forces Arlen to help him find Honey in Comfort, even putting her life at risk if she fails. Having no other choice, Arlen is forced to go with Bobby toward Comfort. Along the way, they encounter a member of the cannibal group who attempts to make a trade. The man offers fuel in exchange for Arlen, intending to use her as food. At first, it appears to be a betrayal, as Bobby hands Arlen over without hesitation and walks away with the fuel. However, it soon becomes clear that it is all part of his plan, as Bobby quickly returns and takes the man down with his knives.
Trade you for that leg.
Wait, Mom! Ah!
After making sure the threat is gone, Bobby even takes parts of the man's body as a food supply before they continue their journey using the man's vehicle. During the trip, they briefly stop in the middle of the desert, and not long after, a sandstorm suddenly hits. In that dangerous moment, Bobby shows a more protective side by covering both of them with a large cloth to shield them from the storm. That night, they decide to rest in the middle of the desert, and during that time, Arlen quietly observes Bobby's way of life, which still relies on extreme survival methods, making her realize just how harsh the world outside comfort truly is. In the silence, Arlen finally gathers the courage to ask about Bobby's past and how he ended up in the Bad Batch. Without hesitation, Bobby explains that he was sent there after becoming an illegal immigrant from Cuba to America at a young age.
How come you're in the Bad Batch?
Ilegal. No papers. I come with a boat to America when I'm 16. A lot of things. Construction. I make tattoos.
The conversation continues as Arlen asks about Bobby's identification number, but when he is about to show it, she takes advantage of the moment to grab his weapon and threaten him. Despite being in danger, Bobby remains completely calm, showing no fear at all, almost as if he is challenging Arlen to follow through. The tension between them is suddenly broken when a gunshot rings out from another direction and hits Bobby. The shot comes from a prisoner who managed to escape from the cannibal group. Seeing Arlen's condition and the parts of her body she has lost, the man immediately realizes that she is a victim and invites her to return to comfort with him. In the end, Arlen chooses to go with the man, as she no longer wants to stay close to Bobby, who is part of the group that destroyed her life. Upon arriving in comfort, the man immediately reports to the guards and introduces himself as a new prisoner with the serial number 5828. This information surprises Arlen, as it reveals that in just 5 months, the number of incoming prisoners has increased significantly. It raises a troubling question in her mind about whether it is even possible to ever escape from this place. However, amid the pressure and confusion in her thoughts, Arlen suddenly remembers Bobby, whom she left behind in a wounded condition. That thought pushes her to make a decision to return to the place where they last parted, hoping to check on his condition. But when she arrives, she finds no trace of him, only a sketchbook he left behind. Meanwhile, in another place, Bobby, who is still unconscious, is found by the old scavenger who once helped Arlen. Without hesitation, the old man once again shows his kindness by taking care of Bobby, feeding him, and treating the gunshot wound on his body, helping him slowly recover. In a world filled with violence where people prey on one another, the presence of this old man stands as a rare reminder that humanity still exists even in the most inhumane place imaginable. Back at home, Arlen begins to go through the sketchbook she found earlier, carefully looking at each drawing. From what she sees, she starts to realize how much Bobby truly cares for his daughter, and that realization sparks a desire in her to help find Honey. Without wasting any time, Arlen makes copies of Honey's sketch and starts walking around Comfort, showing the drawing to anyone she meets, in hopes that someone might recognize the little girl. However, her efforts lead nowhere, as no one seems to have seen Honey, until one moment, by pure chance, Arlen spots Honey walking alongside one of the Dream's wives, which immediately gives her a clue that Honey is now under the Dream's protection. Since living with the Dream, Honey's life has changed drastically. She is treated like his own child, spoiled with proper meals and surrounded by comfort far beyond what life outside the desert could offer. Meanwhile, on the other side of the desert, Bobby, who survived thanks to the help of the old scavenger, has now recovered and regained a vehicle that allows him to head toward Comfort. Even though they can barely communicate, Bobby sincerely shows his gratitude, knowing that without the old man's help, he might not have survived. As night approaches, Arlen finally gathers the courage to go to the Dream's residence to confirm Honey's whereabouts. As she steps inside, she is surprised by what she sees: many pregnant women living together in the same place. It turns out they are all the Dream's wives, who also play a role in maintaining the system that keeps the community running. The Dream has built his wealth and power through illegal activities, but in a lawless place like the Bad Batch, no one is able to challenge him. In fact, because he provides a more stable life for the prisoners, many people see him as someone worthy of respect. Seeing the comfort offered there, Arlen pretends to be interested in becoming part of that life. The Dream welcomes her without suspicion and immediately orders one of his wives to prepare a room for her. However, behind that act, Arlen is already planning to rescue Honey. She realizes that if she does nothing, Honey's future could end up following the same path as the women living there. While in the bathroom, Arlen secretly retrieves a pistol she has been hiding in her prosthetic leg. When one of the Dream's wives enters to check on her, Arlen seizes the moment, threatening her and taking her as a hostage so she can move freely and find Honey.
Is everything okay? That's okay.
The plan goes more smoothly than expected. Without any significant resistance, Arlen manages to take Honey out of the Dream's residence and leave the place without any obstacles. After making sure they are safe, Arlen quickly takes a vehicle and leaves the comfort area. As they travel farther away, they eventually reunite with Bobby. The moment is filled with relief, especially for Bobby, who is finally able to see his daughter safe and unharmed. With nowhere left to go, Arlen expresses her desire to stay with them. At first, Bobby hesitates, knowing how dangerous life outside can be, especially for someone like Arlen. However, Arlen insists that she would rather face the risks together than live alone in comfort. For her, being with Bobby and Honey gives her a sense of safety she has never truly felt before. In the end, the three of them continue their journey together as a small group. Honey suddenly expresses her desire to eat the kind of food she used to enjoy while living with the Dream. She begins to complain and keeps asking for it, as if she still cannot let go of the comfort she once had. Of course, fulfilling that request is difficult for Bobby, as their current situation is far from sufficient. With very limited options, Bobby is forced to make a difficult decision by killing Honey's pet rabbit to make sure they have something to eat. Although it makes Honey upset, the moment slowly softens into a quiet sense of togetherness. The three of them sit together, sharing what little food they have in the middle of the harsh desert, and the story comes to an end.